My dad destroyed my gaming gear for a viral video. 12 years later, I'm the keynote speaker he came to see. He wanted internet fame. He got a son who doesn't exist to him anymore. There's a specific sound that plastic makes when it shatters under a sledgehammer. It's a dry, sharp crack that sounds like a bone breaking. It's the sound of circuits snapping, of liquid crystal screens imploding, of hard drives being ground into dust. I haven't heard that sound in 12 years. But sometimes when I'm coding at 2 a.m. and the office is quiet, I can still hear it ringing in my ears. I can still hear the crunch of the motherboard. I can still hear my father's laugh. And I can still hear him saying the phrase that ruined my childhood. Make sure you get his face in the frame. We want the crying reaction. Tears get clicks. My name is Tyrone Mercer. I am 26 years old. I am a lead software architect for Sentinel Systems, one of the largest cybersecurity firms in Silicon Valley. I drive a car that cost more than my first apartment building. I have a stock portfolio that would make a banker weep. But to my parents, Marcus and Evelyn Mercer, I am a ghost. To understand why I walked away from a multi-million-dollar inheritance to scrub toilets at a gas station, you have to understand the incident that turned me into a meme. You have to understand what it was like to grow up in the Mercer household. We were rich, not comfortable rich, wealthy rich. My father was a real estate mogul who, around 2012, pivoted to lifestyle coaching and social media content. He was obsessed with image. He was obsessed with teaching lessons that could be packaged into 10-minute videos for ad revenue on YouTube. Our house wasn't a home. It was a set. We had ring lights in the kitchen. We had tripods in the living room. Every family dinner was content. Every vacation was a sponsorship deal. If I cried because I scraped my knee, Dad didn't get a bandage. He got a camera. I was the disappointment. My older brother, Preston, was the athlete, the golden boy quarterback who smiled for the camera on command. My younger sister, Chloe, was the socialite, the cute kid who was always camera-ready in matching outfits. I was Tyrone, the nerd, the quiet one. I didn't like sports. I didn't like cameras. I love code. I love gaming. I love the logic of a system where if you put in the right inputs, you got the right outputs. The real world wasn't like that. In the real world, specifically in my father's world, you could do everything right and still be the villain of the week. I learned that lesson at 14. I attended Preston Academy, a private school where the tuition cost more than the average national salary. It was a Shark Tank in blazers. It was a place where the children of senators and CEOs learned how to be cruel with efficiency. There was a kid named Blake. Blake was the son of a senator. He was untouchable. He had that sneering, confident face that comes from never having been told no in his entire life. And for some reason, he hated me. Blake didn't just bully me. He tormented me. He sensed that I was different, that I wanted to be invisible, and he made it his mission to put a spotlight on me. His favorite target was my gear. I brought my handheld console, a limited edition Vita, to school because I had an hour-long bus ride. I never played in class. I kept it in my bag, buried under my textbooks. It was my escape. It was the only place I felt safe. But Blake would find it. He would take it. He would hide it. He would accidentally drop it. Oops, he would sneer, kicking across the cafeteria floor. Butterfingers. Maybe you should upgrade, Ty. That thing looks like trash anyway. I complained to the teachers. They did nothing. The dean, Mr. Sterling, was intimidated by Blake's father. Work it out amongst yourselves, gentlemen, the dean would say, adjusting his glasses. Don't be a tattletale, Tyrone. Toughen up. One Tuesday, everything snapped. I had spent 6 months coding a homebrew RPG game on that device. It was my first real project. It wasn't just a game. It was thousands of lines of code I had written myself. It was my soul. It was on a memory card inside the console. I hadn't backed it up to the cloud yet because the school Wi-Fi blocked external servers. I came back from the bathroom during lunch to find Blake holding my console. He was sitting on a table, surrounded by his sycophants. He was laughing. He was holding a magnet, a heavy industrial magnet he had stolen from the science lab, against the back of the device. What happens to the data if I do this? He asked, grinning. I heard magnets scramble flash memory. Let's test the hypothesis. Blake, don't. I screamed, dropping my tray. My code is on there. Stop. Nerd stuff, he said dismissively. He slid the magnet across the back of the unit. Then, just for good measure, he dropped the console into a trash can filled with half-finished sodas and ketchup packets. The screen flickered and died. 6 months of work. Gone. I didn't think. I didn't calculate. I saw red. The rage that had been building for months, the rage of my father, at the cameras, at the loneliness, exploded. I lunged across the aisle. I hit him. A solid, desperate right hook that caught him on the jaw. He went down. He looked shocked more than hurt. The cafeteria went silent. The next hour was a blur. The dean's office. The police. My parents being called. The school didn't ask about the magnet. They didn't ask about the bullying. They saw a senator's son with a bruised jaw and a quiet kid with bloody knuckles. Zero tolerance, the dean said, shaking his head. Violence is unacceptable, Tyrone. You are expelled. Effective immediately. My father didn't defend me. He didn't ask what happened. He sat there in the dean's office, checking his watch, looking annoyed that his afternoon filming schedule was interrupted. You embarrassed me, Tyrone, was all he said in the car ride home. He didn't look at me. He looked at the road. You acted like an animal, and now I have to fix it. I have to show the world that the Mercer family doesn't tolerate this behavior. I have to spin this. Spin this. That was his favorite phrase. When we got home, he didn't send me to my room. He didn't ground me. Bring everything to the driveway, he said. His voice was calm, scary calm. Laptop, consoles, phone, tablet, bring it all. I thought he was going to confiscate them. I thought he was going to sell them or donate them. I walked out to the driveway with my arms full of gear. Dad had set up a tripod. He had his professional 4K camera mounted on it. He had a ring light set up, plugged into the garage outlet, even though it was afternoon. He wanted the lighting to be perfect. And he was holding a sledgehammer. Dad, I asked, trembling, what is this? Action, he whispered to himself. Then he turned on his dad voice, the loud, booming, authoritative persona he used for videos. All right, guys, he yelled at the camera, clapping his hands. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are teaching a lesson about consequences. My son, Tyrone, decided to solve his problems with violence today. He got expelled. He embarrassed this family. So now, we are going to remove the distraction that caused all this aggression. He pointed the hammer at my pile of gear. My laptop, which I used for school. My PS4, which I had saved up for months to buy. My hard drives containing years of photos and code. Dad, please, I begged, stepping forward. My homework is on there. My projects. Just take them away. Don't break them. I paid for that console. Cry for the camera, Tyrone, he muttered under his breath, stepping closer to me so the lens could catch my tears. Show them you're sorry. Then he swung. Crack. The laptop screen shattered. The aluminum casing bent like foil. Crunch. The PS4 exploded into shards of black plastic. The blue light flickered once and died. I was screaming. I was crying. I was 14 years old and watching my world be destroyed by the man who was supposed to protect me. I fell to my knees, trying to grab the pieces, but he pushed me back with his foot. He didn't stop until everything was dust. He smashed the mouse. He smashed the headphones. He even smashed the power cords. Then he looked at the camera, breathless and smiling, sweat beading on his forehead. That is how you parent. Tough love. Hit that like button if you agree that kids these days need discipline. Let's get this to 50,000 likes. He posted the video that night. It went viral. Millions of views. It was titled, Destroying My Son's PS4. He got expelled. Some people in the comments were horrified, but a lot of people, strangers who didn't know me, didn't know about Blake, didn't know about the magnet, cheered him on. Good dad. Teach that brat a lesson. Video games cause violence. I became a meme. The crying gamer kid. My face, distorted by grief and betrayal, was plastered all over Reddit and Twitter. My father transferred me to a public school in the next district, but the video followed me. Hey, smasher! Kids would yell in the hallway. They would throw crumpled paper at me. Don't punch me, bro. I don't want to get hammered. I stopped talking. I stopped trusting. And I made a vow. I vowed that I would never, ever ask Marcus Mercer for a single penny again. I vowed that I would build a life that he couldn't touch, couldn't smash, and couldn't monetize. At 14, I got a work permit. I walked into a small gas station grocery store 3 miles from my house. I met the manager, Mr. Henderson. He was a gruff, older man with grease under his fingernails and a fading tattoo on his forearm. I need a job, I told him. I'll do anything. Scrub floors, stock shelves, clean the grease trap. I don't care. He looked at my clothes, my expensive, preppy clothes that I hadn't outgrown yet. You look like a rich kid, he said, chewing on a toothpick. Rich kids don't last here. The oil ruins the manicures. I'm not rich, I said. My parents are rich. I have nothing. And I'm hungry. He hired me. Minimum wage. Under the table for the first year until I turned 15. This was the beginning of my real education. Not school, survival. I worked every day after school from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. On weekends, I worked double shifts. I scrubbed toilets that people had destroyed. I scraped gum off the sidewalk. I restocked the coolers until my fingers were numb from the cold. I saved every single penny. And I mean every penny. I developed a system. I realized that if I put my money in a bank account, my parents, as my legal guardians, could access it. Dad would see the balance. He would take it. He would call it rent or contribution to the household. So I built a vault. I took an old, thick biology textbook from the school library's discard pile. I spent 3 nights carefully cutting out the center of the pages with an X-Acto knife, leaving the edges intact. That hollow book became my bank. Every Friday, Mr. Henderson paid me in cash. I walked home, locked my door, and slid the bills into the book. I learned the economics of poverty. I stopped eating the school lunch because it cost $3.50. Instead, I ate the expired food from the gas station that Mr. Henderson was supposed to throw away. You want these hot dogs? He asked me one night, holding a tray of wrinkled, dry rollers. They've been on the heater for 12 hours. Yes, I said. They taste like shoe leather, kid. They're free, I said. I ate day-old sandwiches. I ate bruised apples. I saved the $3.50 a day. That was $17.50 a week. $70 a month. I walked everywhere. I walked 3 miles to work and 3 miles back, regardless of the weather. Rain, snow, heat. I refused to ask my parents for a ride. Every time I walked, I told myself I was saving gas money. That was another $20 a week. When I turned 16, the conflict came to a head. Preston, my older brother, turned 18 that year. For his birthday, Dad bought him a brand new Range Rover. He made a video of it, of course. Big red bow. Preston screaming in excitement. Dad handing him the keys. Sponsored by the local dealership. A week later, Dad called me into the living room. He was holding a brochure for a BMW. Tyrone, he said, using his benevolent voice. He was filming with his phone, holding it low. I know we've had our rough patch, but you've been working hard at that little job of yours. I want to reward you. I'm willing to lease you a car. A nice one, to show that I'm a generous father. He put the brochure on the table. You just need to sign this contract. What contract? I asked. Just a standard family agreement, he said. It says you'll maintain a B average and, well, you agree to appear in 3 family vlogs a week. We need to show our reconciliation journey. The audience loves a redemption arc. The angry gamer son forgives his dad. It's gold, Ty. He wanted content. He wanted to use me again. I looked at the brochure. Then I looked at him. No, I said. Dad blinked. He lowered the phone. Excuse me. I don't want it, I said. And I'm not being in your videos. I'm not signing anything. You need a car, Tyrone. How are you going to get to that gas station? Walking in the rain? You look pathetic walking down the highway. The neighbors talk. I bought a car, I said. I walked him to the driveway. Parked next to Preston's gleaming Range Rover was a 1999 Toyota Corolla. The paint was peeling. The bumper was held on by zip ties. The interior smelled like stale cigarettes. It had 200,000 miles on it. I bought it from a mechanic friend of Mr. Henderson for $3,500 cash. My cash. Cash from the biology textbook. That piece of junk, Dad sneered, looking at it like it was a dead rat. You're going to drive that? It's an eyesore. It embarrasses me to have it in my driveway. What will the sponsors think? It's mine, I said, and the title is in my name. You can't smash it. I needed his signature for the insurance because I was a minor. It was the only time I broke my vow. Sign the insurance papers, I said, and I'll never ask you for anything again. No tuition. No rent. Nothing. He signed it laughing. Fine. Drive your garbage can. See how far it gets you. You'll be begging me for money within a month when the transmission blows. It got me freedom. The next 2 years were a grind. I lived in that house, but I didn't live with them. I was a tenant who didn't speak. I ate my meals at the gas station. I did my laundry at the laundromat, so I wouldn't have to talk to my mother in the utility room. My mother, Evelyn, was the silent accomplice. She never swung the hammer, but she held the camera. She would try to corner me in the kitchen. Tyrone, honey, she would say, trying to touch my arm. Don't be so dramatic. Your father loves you. He just wants you to be a man. Why are you so cold to us? I'm a man, I would tell her. A man pays his own bills. A man doesn't sell his children for views. At 18, on the day of my high school graduation, I moved out. I didn't invite them to graduation. They came anyway. I saw them in the stands, Dad with his camera, zooming in, trying to film me walking across the stage for his Instagram story. I grabbed my diploma. I didn't wave. I didn't smile. I walked straight off the stage, out the side exit, stripped off my gown, and got in my Toyota. I drove away before the ceremony even ended. I had arranged a room rental with Mr. Henderson. He had a spare room above his garage. He charged me $400 a month. It's not the Ritz, Mr. Henderson said, handing me the key. It wasn't a Ritz. It was a glorified storage closet. It had no insulation. In the summer, it was an oven. In the winter, I could see my breath. I slept in a sleeping bag on a mattress I found on the curb. But it was quiet, and nobody was going to point a camera at me there. Quiet is all I want, I said. I lived in that room for 4 years. I didn't go to a fancy university like Preston, who flunked out of USC after 1 semester of partying. I went to community college. I paid for it by working the night shift at the gas station. My laptop was a refurbished ThinkPad I bought for $200. It was slow, but it ran Linux. It was enough. I discovered a website called Fiverr. I could sell coding services. I started small. I will fix your HTML for $5. I will debug your Python script for $5. I worked all night. I would finish a shift at the gas station at 11 p.m., come home to the freezing garage, put on 3 hoodies, and code until 4 a.m. I took every job. I was relentless. I learned Python, Java, C++, Ruby. I built a reputation. I was the guy who delivered fast and clean. My $5 jobs became $50 jobs, then $500 jobs. I saved everything. I still ate ramen. I still drove the Toyota. I wore shirts until they had holes in them. The only person I kept in touch with was Chloe. Chloe was 4 years younger than me. She was the innocent bystander. When I left, she was 14. We met secretly at a coffee shop near her school once a month. They're getting worse, Chloe told me one day, her eyes red. Dad's views are down. He's desperate. He tried to make Preston start a prank channel, but Preston is lazy. They talk about you, you know. They play the victim. Our ungrateful son abandoned us. Dad cries on camera about missing you. Let them talk, I said. Chloe, listen to me. Keep your head down. Save your money. The day you turn 18, you call me. I'll get you out. Promise. Blood oath, I said. But you can never tell them where I live. You can never tell them where I work. If you tell them, I have to disappear again, and I'll have to block you. I can't have them in my life. She nodded. I promise. I transferred to a state university for my junior and senior years. I got a scholarship for my coding portfolio. By 22, I landed a job as a junior developer at a startup. By 25, I was a senior engineer. By 26, which is now, I was promoted to lead architect. I built a reputation in the industry. The architect, the guy who could fix any back-end mess in 48 hours. The guy who built systems that didn't break. And I even kept track of the old ghosts. I heard through the grapevine what happened to Blake, the untouchable senator's son who got me expelled. His father was indicted for embezzlement 3 years after high school. They lost everything. Blake flunked out of 3 different colleges. Last I heard, he got caught up in a crypto pump and dump scheme and is facing legal trouble. A few months ago, I got a LinkedIn message from a Blake S. asking for a job at Sentinel Systems. "Hey Ty, long time no see. I see you're a big shot now. Any openings for an old friend? I'm good with people." I looked at the message. I thought about the magnet. I thought about the trash can. I clicked delete. I didn't even block him. He wasn't worth the block. He was just noise. My parents tried to reach out over the years too. Emails, letters sent to my old P.O. box. "Tyrone, we miss you." "Tyrone, Preston is getting married. Please come." "Tyrone, we heard you have a good job now. We're so proud. We always knew you had it in you." I never replied. I sent their emails to spam. I burned their letters. Which brings us to today. I was invited to speak at TechCon West in San Francisco. It is the biggest technology conference in the country. I was on a panel about the future of cybersecurity in a post-privacy world. It was ironic, really. My father violated my privacy for profit, and now I made a fortune protecting people's privacy. I walked onto the stage. The lights were bright. The audience was massive, 2,000 people. I gave my speech. I talked about resilience. I talked about how systems break and how to rebuild them stronger. I didn't mention the sledgehammer, but I felt the weight of it in every word. The applause was thunderous. As I walked off stage, feeling that high of success, my assistant, Sarah, tapped me on the shoulder. "Mr. Mercer," she said, "there are 2 people waiting by the VIP exit. They say they're your parents. They have VIP passes. They said it's a surprise." My stomach dropped. The old fear, the old shame, flared up for a second. But then, I remembered who I was. I wasn't 14 anymore. I wasn't the crying kid in the driveway. I was the keynote speaker. I was the man who built the security system for the bank they used. "Let them in," I said. I stood in the hallway. Marcus and Evelyn Mercer walked in. They looked older. Dad's hair was dyed a bad shade of brown to hide the gray. He was holding a vlogging camera, but the red light wasn't on. Mom looked tired, her shiny veneer cracking under too much Botox and filler. They stopped when they saw me. They saw the Italian suit. They saw the Patek Philippe on my wrist. They saw the way the conference staff deferred to me. "Tyrone," Dad said. He smiled, opening his arms. "My God, look at you. You're a star." He moved to hug me. I took a step back. "Don't." He froze. "Tyrone, come on. It's been 12 years. We saw your speech. It was incredible." I told the guy next to me, "That's my boy. I made him who he is." I laughed. It was a cold, dry sound. "You made me? You destroyed me. I built myself from the scrap you left on the driveway." "Oh, stop living in the past." Mom chimed in, her voice shrill. "We were just strict parents. We did what we thought was right. And look, it worked. You're successful. You have drive. If we had coddled you, you'd be like Preston, still living in our guest house and asking for gas money." "Is that what you tell yourselves?" I asked. That abusing me was a strategy? That humiliating me for ad revenue was parenting? "We didn't abuse you," Dad said, his face reddening. "We disciplined you. And honestly, Tyrone, we're here to make peace. I'm actually looking to pivot my investment portfolio into tech. I saw your company is doing a Series B round. I want to be an angel investor. Keep it in the family." There it was. He didn't want a son. He wanted a piece of the action. He saw a winner, and he wanted to attach his brand to it. He wanted to be the dad of the tech mogul. "You want to invest?" I asked. "Absolutely," Dad said, pulling out a business card. "I have capital. I can help you scale. We can make a video series about it." Father and son building the future. It would crush on YouTube. Think of the narrative tie. The prodigal son returns. I looked at his hand. I looked at the business card. I looked at the man who smashed my world for likes. I don't want your money, I said. I don't want your capital. And I certainly don't want to be in your video. Tyrone, be reasonable, Mom said. We're your family. We missed you. I have a family, I said. My family is Mr. Henderson, who gave me a room when you made me homeless. My family is my sister, who I'm putting through college, so she doesn't have to rely on you. My family is the team of engineers waiting for me at the bar. Dad's eyes narrowed. You're paying for Chloe's tuition? Full ride, I said. Stanford. I paid in cash. So you can't hold tuition over her head like you try to do with me. She's free. You ungrateful little. Dad started to raise his voice, stepping forward aggressively. Careful, Marcus, I said, stepping closer. I was taller than him now. There are cameras everywhere here. You wouldn't want a video of you screaming at the keynote speaker to go viral, would you? The comment section wouldn't be on your side this time. He stopped. He looked around. He saw the security guards watching. He saw the attendees with their phones out. He realized he had no power here. The sledgehammer was gone. I'm leaving, I said. Do not contact me. Do not come to my office. If you do, I will have you trespassed. And Dad. He looked at me, his jaw clenched, his face purple. It's 12 years too late, I said. You deleted your son a long time ago. You can't recover that file. I turned around. I walked away. I walked out of the convention center and into the cool San Francisco air. My driver was waiting. But I wasn't just going to a hotel. I was going home. I drove 40 minutes south to Palo Alto. I pulled into the driveway of a house that was the opposite of the one I grew up in. It wasn't a showpiece. There were no ring lights. It was warm, private, and hidden behind tall hedges. I walked inside. Daddy. The voice didn't belong to a content creator. It belonged to Maya, my wife. She was sitting on the floor, holding our 6-month-old daughter, Luna. Maya knew everything. She knew about the sledgehammer. She knew about the hot dogs at the gas station. She was the one who taught me how to trust again. I picked up Luna. She gurgled and grabbed my glasses. She was perfect, and she was completely unphotographed. We didn't post her on social media. Her life belonged to her. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Chloe. Hi, Dee. Just wanted to ask. Dad and Mom are begging for a photo of the baby. They saw a glimpse of her on my private story. I know. I slipped up, sorry. They are crying. They want to know her name. Can I show them just one picture? I looked at Luna. I looked at the peace in my home. I thought about my father's face at the conference. He didn't want to know me. He wanted to own me. But now, he was relegated to the cheap seats. I typed back to Chloe. It's up to you, Chloe. You can show them a picture if you want. But that's it. They can look, but they can never touch. They're the audience now. That's what they always wanted, right? To watch. I put the phone down. Everything okay? Maya asked, kissing my cheek. Yeah, I said, holding my daughter close. Everything is perfect. My parents are out there, refreshing their feeds, desperate for a glimpse of the life I built without them. They have the internet fame they crave. But I have the one thing they never understood. I have a life that is real, and it is unbreakable. Have you ever had a parent who cared more about their public image than their child's well-being? Did you have to build your success out of spite? If you believe that success is the best revenge, and that toxic family deserves to be cut off, hit that like button and subscribe. #SuccessRevenge.